playing a trumpet is takes a lot of effort in terms of your breathing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How did you manage that? And
Every instrument that I have learned and I will ever learn, I'll have to thank the piano and the choir, like which I have sung. It's a what you see is what you get. You can't bend a note, you can't do glides, you can't do, vibrato. You just hit the key.
Correct.
So that bass kind of got me to play a few other instruments as well. So I would say I'm more a piano player, known as a piano player. I do bass as well, but nowadays I'm taking more towards the horns.
you're also a sound engineer.
Well, I'm not a trained sound engineer, so I would just say I'm a utility musician as it stands.
Hey guys, welcome to Art and Culture Tribe. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we have with us an amazing artist who is a musician, a sound engineer, a music teacher. You want to know who that is? Let's check him out. All right, so let's welcome amazing Jason Zac. Hello.
Hello, Dinkar. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
It's a privilege to be part of your community, your tribe, as it's called. And yeah, I've seen a lot. I'm a fan actually.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank
I'm
you.
excited to be here.
Thank you so much. You know, we were when you agreed to do this, I was like, okay, this is amazing. We've not been in touch so much, but I know the things that you've been doing in the industry. You're a music teacher, somebody who plays trumpet, trombone, the bass, and you've performed with different bands. And so let's talk about all these things. I'm so excited.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Jason, how did music happen with you?
So music, I guess for me was very lucky because both my granddads are experienced musicians and very, very serious, like full on classical musicians.
Okay.
And different types of classical musicians. So one granddad from my dad's side, A.D. Zachariah, he was a Carnatic violinist, and he, being a Christian musician, as we are Christians, so being a Christian person, you don't tend to take up a Carnatic instrument. So he was one of the rare people, and he was kind of an outlier, and he went against the system, so to speak, because not many encouraged him. But he stuck with the violin. He knew a bit of keyboard, and I would just hear those sounds every other day. The way I would tell my students is it's sort of like a carpenter trade. It's the carpenter gets his tools and he does it, and then his kids or the youngsters watch and they just learn. So it has all been about watching and learning. And luckily enough, my other granddad was a very famous at the time conductor, a Western classical conductor. So he would conduct big choirs in Bangalore and Mysore. He used to keep shuffling. He learned from a British teacher pre-independence, and after that, I guess they converted the British musical choir into the Bangalore chamber choir. I don't know the exact name. They actually changed the name.
Okay.
And then they gave him a baton. They gave him a piano, and that piano is very historically important for me because he used to put me on his lap, and I don't know what I ever did, but I'm here today, I guess. And it continued with my mom, with my uncle. My uncle's a church pipe organist, but he didn't take to it professionally. My mom has taken to it professionally. So she plays the pipe organ, which is actually, some might argue, the world's toughest instrument to play because you have your hands, you have your legs also playing the keyboard. So she's been doing that. She's extremely trained. She's also a vocal coach. She's a choir conductor, choir teacher.
Wow.
So my first experience, I guess, as a musician was just this, which I vaguely remember. But what I actually remember is singing in a choir. So singing in a choir, in our church choirs, in any choir, you have the soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And being a boy, what happens is our voice changes.
Yeah.
So at the age of 9 or 10, I would sing the soprano which is ideally associated with what the girls sing.
Okay.
But I never liked that because it was just the melody. It was like very easy. You can just hear it and figure it out. So I was more fascinated by the other parts, the alto, which is little lower. Then when my voice changed, the tenor, and then the bass. So there's actually a bass part which got me to play eventually, I guess, the bass guitar and whatnot. So it was just watch and learn, sing each part. And the singing of each part, I guess, got my harmony going. Because each note that we sung, I guess, is a chord, which eventually is what we do on all our instruments, piano, guitar. So it just came to me naturally. So as a kid, maybe till my school, I never really played the piano. I never learned formally. I didn't want to learn. I wanted to play cricket. I was full on into sports, all sports, cricket, hockey, badminton, athletics, whatever. I was more into that. In my college days, I was more into studies, studying for IIT, all of those sort of things. Then I got into a computer science college. But in my 12th standard, something awesome happened. I was in an a cappella group. Again, a cappella is just singing.
Yeah.
And somehow one thing led to the other. I was in St. Joseph's PU, St. Joseph's PU. So the fathers would ask me to play, not me. They would ask someone to play. And as it turned out, I was the only guy who could play without reading. I didn't need to read the sheet music, which is a bit rare for a pianist.
Okay.
Usually a pianist, you'll say, okay, give me the sheet music. So I could play what I could kind of play without reading. So I guess I got hired by all these fathers and these priests, and then I started playing for all the Joseph's colleges just as a accompanist. I never used to play lead piano. Till date, I don't consider myself that. I've always been a chord rhythm guy. So follow the drummer, follow the bass, that kind of a groove musician. And in my a cappella group, I started playing a bit of piano just to teach them. So just to give them the part. And yeah, so that's how music started. And so it was never, examples like I would hear Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits. I learned the guitar part for a college music competition, but then I'll just say, no, I don't feel it. And I'll play the same thing on the piano.
Okay.
So it was like that. And then the piano got to me because it was more like a utility instrument. I can use it to show the drummer what to play. I can use it to work with a choir. I can use it in a studio. So because of its versatility, because I can use it in any circumstance, any genre, I wouldn't say I fell in love with the piano, but I'll never leave the piano because it's like a one man or a one woman orchestra, so to speak.
Okay.
You can just shape out your entire song on that keyboard. So as it turned out, my left hand was very bass driven, so that led to bass. So ironically, I'm a very poor guitar player. I don't even know slash chords bar chords. You call them bar chords. My bad. Sorry. I don't know guitar. Sorry. But bass just happened. Usually you have to do a bit of guitar and then do bass, they say. Bass just happened. There was a bass in the jam room and pulled it up and started playing. So it's been bass, piano, a bit of trumpet. A lot of these things just happened by luck, by chance. Like trumpet, our school, in Cathedral School, we had a lot of instruments just dumped by the British.
Okay.
Right? Lot of instruments dumped. So if you open that cupboard, they're literally... like you cannot even see the instrument. It's just filled with cobwebs.
Oh.
Mice would come out from time to time. So there was this one teacher who came. He said, okay, I'm hired to teach y'all. Then he got bored. But at least in that 1 week, we cleaned those instruments.
Okay.
We took them out of the cupboard. We cleaned them, washed them. I don't know what we did. I remember that. Then our master left us. He left the school. So all of us boys, we just picked it up. So that's how I learned horns. I learned trumpet just by teaching them, and we used to play for our march past at some funerals. So it just all happened, singing, trumpet. And during my engineering, because I loved computers, I also got involved with sound and recording. So wherever that took me, I was happy, to do a few live shows here and there, just assisting. You know how it is playing in a band, there's so much time before the show, and so much. And so I would always try to help the sound engineer. Can I help you with some cables? What is a DI box? What does it do? What is an amp? How do you mic it? So I was always fascinated with that, being a tech person, because I love computers. I did my engineering. And yeah, I all I can say is, long story short, I've just been very lucky with family, with friends who've encouraged me. And now, strangely enough, I don't know if many people say this to you, my students, because they are also motivating me to get better. So for me, it's always been a constant search to grow, but very lucky, because I don't think I would have been able to be even 2% as good if not for all the other people around me, the bands I worked with, the choirs, the theater productions, the directors here and there, and a lot of musicians. It could even be a theater director, who gives me a direction. So I've done a few theater plays along the way where I have to compose. So all these things have helped me to where I am. And now it's students, strangely enough. So they, how the younger generation is, I guess. They, whatever we guys learn in 1 month, they can probably learn in about a week.
Okay.
Yeah, they're really fast. So being a teacher now is a nice stage for me, because I'm on my toes, or try to be on my toes to keep playing better. So
Okay.
yeah, so I'm in a very good space, I guess, musically, and I love music. I mean, I've just been soaked in this beautiful art form for, I don't know, maybe about 30 years now or
Wow.
so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you were growing up, the kind of music you were listening to, I do understand that, there was church music and stuff like that. But apart
Yeah.
from that, the bands or any other.
Yeah, so I grew up in around the 90s and maybe early 2000s. That's where the formative years were for listening. So I guess pre 2000, it was more what my parents listened to. My dad was a good musician, but he was more of a music critic.
Okay.
So even though he couldn't play, he was always a very good judge of music. He would always say, you should listen to this artist, you should listen to this part of that Ilayaraja song. So the good thing about my dad was he loved the South Indian regional music. He loved a bit. He didn't like Hindi songs, Bollywood, but we got to listen to a lot of Ilayaraja. I remember growing up. That was a huge, not influence. We just consumed it. And then in combination, you have all your 70s and 80s hit bands. Like ABBA was huge. Boney M, Elton John. Strangely enough, not the Beatles. It was just the cassettes we had in our house. So the Beatles cassette was not there. So I never got to hear the Beatles for a long. It was just what was at home. Yeah, these sort of artists. And from my engineering, I guess a lot of us engineering kids back then were into prog, into progressive stuff, progressive metal. And then this fascination of dream theater happened, and I joined this band called Perugia with Naveen Thomas, Ranjit Abraham, and a few others. So that was a school,
Okay.
learning dream theater songs pretty much all day.
Okay.
And so Naveen and me would, like, even if we had a gig, we would finish the gig and go back and practice like dream theater songs.
Okay.
It would literally just be like one lick or whatever. So we were good friends, Naveen and me. And then people like Tony and Willie crossed paths.
Okay.
And we all had that love for prog, I guess. I joined Boomy for some time. And we're still technically a band, I
Okay.
guess. Yeah. But we have some material, so we might be putting that out.
Okay.
But yeah, I used to listen to a lot of prog rock, not necessarily prog metal, but prog anything, like anything progressive. There was this nice website which listed all the types of prog rock, prog metal, this metal, and I just forgot all the names by now. But yeah, Dream Theater was a huge influence. So was Liquid Tension Experiment, their instrumental band, Symphony X, and of course, lot of just general pop country and blues. Like Eric Clapton was a huge influence for me. Lot of guitar players, but being a keyboard player, artists like Bruce Hornsby, Billy Joel, Elton John, Nora Jones, believe it or not, I think her piano skills are beautiful. We know her as a singer, but what a piano player. So, a lot of these artists growing up, and of course, in and around church music, as you said, was also there. We didn't have a chance. We just had to sing that sort of material.
Okay. So in college when did Bhumi happen? This was during your college days.
Bhumi, I don't know, to be honest. They started way back in the day. In fact, I used to compete with Bhumi. I was in a band called Black Earth.
Okay.
With Vikram, Subbu, Bhaskar, and Dennis, who unfortunately passed away recently. He was our vocalist. So we and Bhumi, Phenom, Liquid Groove from BMS College. So BMS had Liquid Groove, Pesset had Phenom. It was a very, very big band, really good band. I don't know if you know Gaurav Vaz.
Yes,
he used to play bass. He also manages Raghu Dikshit. Yeah. There was the BMS band, Liquid Groove. Lot of Christ College bands back in the day. Like Christ College was packed with bands. And our band was like a hybrid, Pesset and RV.
Okay.
So we just were friends, so we just ganged up and played. So yeah, I used to always cross paths. That's how I got to meet Tony and a few other musicians through a lot of mutual musician friends.
Yeah.
So we kind of mix the scene. It was, luckily for me, it was not bands only. It was these acoustic bands, acoustic duos where you just play guitar and someone sings.
Yeah.
One guy plays cajon. It could just be an a cappella band. So you met in an a cappella band, and the singer of that band refers you to a metal band. It'll happen like that. Or because you were in a theater group, you meet some musicians.
Yeah.
So music was in so many avatars, you could say, back then. There was also orchestral music. There were some orchestras which were happening back then.
Now I think the orchestral music has reduced a lot.
I think so, yeah.
It's one of my dream to watch a live orchestra. But
you should.
Yeah. Because I know for a fact that it's a very unique feeling. And
yeah. I had this opportunity when I went to UK. I just happened to get a ticket so I wanted to go to the Royal Albert Hall and watch an orchestra. It just so happened that orchestra was playing video game music.
Okay.
So I kind of both of my passions. So all the video games, the orchestra kept playing. It was a full on. So if you get a chance, you should go there.
Definitely. Yeah. And I hope that, the orchestral music comes back again in full-fledged form. Because I think these are the things that people should experience, and because it's going to, I think it will give you a different perspective of music again. Because I think a lot of people consume what's recorded, right? But the live music is an experience.
Yeah. The way I tell it, I guess, to some of the students is, if you pick up a violin or a trumpet, the learning curve is kind of like this. It's an exponential kind of thing. So it takes a long time before you even think that you can play these instruments. While drums, bass are kind of like this. You tend to feel good, with a 4 on the floor groove, or with just like a dum, 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 with a bass line or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but then it plateaus. So all instruments take their time. They'll all hit the same stage.
Okay.
They're all equally challenging. It's just the curve is different.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And for you to handle trumpets and trombone, how did that happen?
Like I said, my schoolmaster, when he quit, we had all these instruments.
Okay.
I played it till 8th standard. Then I got busy with studies because I was a good student in school. So I was more into studies, cricket. I wanted to play for state, Ranji, all of that stuff. I was really into cricket. Robin Uthappa was my batchmate.
Okay.
I don't know if he's watching this. Hi. But anyway, yeah, huge fan of his. Like we used to idolize all of those players in Joseph's. Yeah. So I stopped in 8th, and then my uncle brought down a trumpet player from Germany to play in my church. That got me fueled up. And my dad, as always, does this thing. He just used to realize, okay, I have a passion for this instrument. So he happened to be in Singapore. He got me a horn. And you can't get horns in India. It's very tough. So he got me a good trumpet. Then I started recording it for my albums, for my solo albums from Jason Zac band.
Okay.
Then I felt confident that I can take this live. I can play it with a blues group, can play some funk. Can't play metal with a trumpet, but still. Yeah, but I love the instrument. But I always believe that you need to have the personality. Your personality matches the instrument with the few that I play. I feel that I don't match the trumpet as a person.
Okay.
Because the trumpet is a lead actor instrument. You have to like put yourself out there and be, it's like you're a lead vocalist.
Got it.
Which I'm not. I enjoy supporting the band. I enjoy providing color. I enjoy groove. I enjoy bass. I enjoy those sort of things. But I just love the trumpet. I just love playing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I want to understand is, because you told me that the instruments were there and you guys picked it up, but playing a trumpet takes a lot of effort in terms of your breathing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How did you manage that? And
No, we were taught a little bit how to get a basic sound out, but all down. So every instrument that I have learned and I will ever learn, I'll have to thank the piano and the choir, like which I have sung, because your ear just knows what it should be. So physically you can't catch up yet. So if you push yourself physically, you reach what it is mentally. So the sound in your head will never go, because you're actually singing those sounds, and you're doing it on time.
correct.
So and the piano, like I said, it's a multi instrument, and what's good about it is it's a what you see is what you get. You can't bend a note, you can't do glides, you can't do vibrato. You just hit the key.
Correct.
So that bass kind of got me to play a few other instruments as well. So I would say I'm more a piano player, known as a piano player. I do bass as well, but nowadays I'm taking more towards the horns. Yeah.
Okay. You're also a sound engineer.
Well, I'm not a trained sound engineer, so I would just say I'm a utility musician as it stands, because the kinds of things you get to do, like for example, with one of Raghu's songs, so he gave us a bunch of horn sections, and my job was to transcribe that for the actual trumpet players. He had his proper trumpet players. I had to notate it. So I get a job as a notator.
Okay.
Then I have to also engineer that. I have to do MIDI rendering of that. So you have to know some tech. Then after all that, I have to teach it to those musicians.
Okay.
So you get to do everything. So I just call myself like a utility musician. I don't judge the genre or anything. If I can do it, if I can make it like 1% better or a little bit more better, I'll do it.
Okay.
Whatever the work is. It could just be helping with the sound console, could be assisting on stage, fixing a cable. So all of that got me into recording, mixing. And what I like about recording is I'm in complete control. So, and I play all these instruments. So if I have to quickly play percussion, there's shakers, tambourine, cajon, drums, all of these things. It's very tough to work with an engineer, as good as they may be. So I've had to learn recording. And I used to use Pro Tools, which is a good recording software. I got that's literally the only thing I'm actually trained in as a
Okay.
musician. I'm not trained to play piano or bass. I haven't done a course, but I've done a couple of certificate courses on DAWs, DAW, and I'm a trainer. I'm actually more of an audio trainer.
Okay.
I do a little bit of that stuff. I like mixing. I really love mixing. And mastering, I don't know very well. Sometimes you have to do it, but yeah, within recording and mixing is what I guess I do. I've been doing for a few artists like Parvaz, Lagori, um, a few of those Kappa TV recordings I would have mixed.
Okay,
You
the
know,
Music Mojo, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, Music
Okay.
Mojo. I've mixed quite a few live thing. They send me the stems and
Got it.
I mix it and it's out. I love mixing live shows when the recordings come to me.
Okay.
I don't like being there live because
Okay.
I know that that's a completely different cup of tea. You have to be a genius. Like live engineer and studio is very different, I think.
Yes.
You have to have a completely different
Yeah.
mindset, but both have to be respected, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely. As a listener, did you have a genre, a favorite genre?
I've always believed that what you listen to is never going to be what you play.
Okay.
So I used to listen to death metal. I used to listen to Bach, classical music. And I would make this playlist where it goes from a classical song to a Carnatic song to a death metal to a prog to a country to whatever. So I've always been kind of that kind of a guy. And I've never cared much. I've always relied on friends. Like, what are you listening to? I'm more curious like that. And that culture, I think, happened in our engineering days.
Yeah.
Because whenever we played a college fest, let's say in NITK, Suratkal or IIT, one of them, you stay in the hostel room. That's how it was for a lot of bands.
Yeah.
Even the headliner band would actually stay in a hostel room. Unfortunately, those folks had to vacate their hostel to accommodate us. But you would just ask them what sort of music is on your LAN server, and it's fabulous stuff. So you're literally going to NITK just to get their music. So that's how it is. And even now with students, I think the best 50 songs I've heard in the past 3 years are only because of student recommendations. Nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not even bandmates, it's just students.
Yeah, I think that exchange of music is so important because when you have friends, there comes a point that the songs will be kind of similar.
Yeah.
But then when you start meeting new people who are into about music, and when they start sharing the kind of music that they listen to,
Yeah.
it's again a new door that opens.
Yeah, and like when we grew up, I don't think we were involved so much with film music or Bollywood music. So what I figured is if you like music, it should probably be because of the music.
Correct.
Not because of the visual, not necessarily because of the music video, even though some of the music videos are awesome.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because of how the algorithm is forcing that song upon us, which is why it's always good to get it from humans. Get the recommendation. And back in the day, we had radio.
Yeah.
The radio stations used to play some great stuff.
I do agree that because so I think in the 90s I was living in Mangalore, and for my vacations I would come here to my cousin's place, and radio would be going on. I think 91.2 or something.
Yeah,
1 FM, and
every song was a
I still remember the DJ names. I think one of them was Rohit Bakar. And
I remember.
RJ, sorry, not the
Yes,
DJ.
yes, yeah.
And I remember a couple of names.
We
And
used to play some international stuff also.
Yes, and my cousin and I would sit and listen. And sometimes I think post 10 p.m. they would play really good rock.
Yeah.
And
And there was a blues dedicated time. Like this day for some 1 hour, we are going to play blues.
Yes.
And there was one RJ, I forget the name. Maybe someone can help in the comments. Would be they played independent Indian artists' music. So they would play bands like Thermal and a Quarter, a few bands actually, quite a few bands. So there was a nice station, like only on the air. It was playing in your cars. even my band, Allegro Fudge, way back in the day, our entire album, at least 5-6 songs from Maximum City, that album, were actually playing in the cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
Pretty cool. Yeah. So
Yeah,
they had playlists, and they were really supporting talent back then.
Yes, and I know the way they curated was really good because for us it opened so much in terms of new music. Yes, there
Yes.
was MTV and Channel V that was
Yeah.
also doing that, but
Yeah.
again, radio was much more easier to listen to.
Yeah.
Back,
As kids, we didn't get much time on the TV and all of that, because
Yeah.
we were always outdoors, playing sports, tuitions, studying after school. So we didn't have that much time, to. There's no streaming platforms or anything. So this radio was there was also another thing called World Space Radio. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
those stations were awesome.
Yeah.
We had one at our home. Yeah, that was fun.
Okay. You just told me that you would compose music pieces for theater, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell us the approach or the directions that they would give you?
Yeah, so they would give us so there are a lot of options. They would give us a script, or they would just say, play a specific genre. Like maybe we want this to be jazz and blues heavy. So it was really nice because you get to even be playing that live. It's not like record and they play it and you don't know who's doing what. You really know who the director is, you know who your actor is. And we did a lot of musicals back. I've been a director, a music coordinator, and composer for a lot of these musicals. So I guess it's sometimes you compose based on the visual. So you have to go to the enactment while they do their practices, your run through. You sit with the director and he just tells you, and you sketch it out or just write down what you need to do. I compose it and then meet the director privately.
Okay.
And say, is this good? Is this working for that scene? And I've always been a person who's open to other people's suggestions. So I'll try to give 3 ideas. Being a studio artist also for many years, someone says, come up with a part right now for that bar. If they don't like it, then what do? You should make another one.
Yes.
And another, and like that's
it's
the job.
Yeah.
So you have to keep trying. So the theater life really helped me. I have done a few other sessions, projects here and there. I've recorded for some films here and there. I honestly have forgotten the names also of the films, but I'll probably share you a few
Definitely.
recordings if you
Yes, please.
can play it. Yeah.
Yes, please. Can you talk about the bands you've been a part of as a performing artist?
So the first band I was part of, very close to me, has a very weird name, Sinoroma. So I like it for these reasons. It's because I got into playing in a band in the first place, because I was not at all a musician. The musician, the main coordinator, his name was Timothy Thomas. So big thanks to him, because he he actually started my band journey. So that was the first band. He actually said, okay, I won't play keys and all that, you play. He taught me a few things and I just kind of survived. And I could sing, but I never liked to sing lead vocals.
Okay.
So I was a kind of an asset to any band, because I could just do harmony and never do lead. So that was my USP, so to speak. So I would sing. I was part of Sinoroma in the very beginning. We used to do a lot of covers, no originals. Then in Joseph's, in PU, I was not part of any rock band. I was part of an a cappella band called Wish. That was one of the noted. Rock band didn't work because it was serious competition in Joseph's. We never made it. First year, second year, there were so many other amazing musicians. So engineering was where it actually started for me with bands. Just before engineering, I was in a choir called Rhythm and Groove. And just so happened that the singer of the choir, her name was Sharon, she was good friends with Naveen. I met him at a gig. He used to play with this band called Molotov Cocktail from Chennai. Timothy took me for that show, and the rest is history. I met Naveen, I met Sharon, I joined a choir. I started playing for that choir, and I joined Naveen's band, Perugia. We competed at a lot of these fests, NLS, IAMB, I think we won. He used to always win Best Guitarist. Like all the time. I think I won Best Pianist once.
Okay.
But in my defense, that award was not given very often. The people should give that award more. Yeah. But yeah, so that happened. Perugia, we wrote a little bit, but not anything to great, you could say. Black Earth for me was a life-changing band because it taught it. We all composed. We made songs, we composed, and we're very passionate about our work. We went and recorded it in a studio. Even Perugia, we've recorded an EP. I hope we can find it somewhere. The Black Earth EP is definitely available on. We made a site.
Okay.
Our album's called Hallucination Theory. So we have 3 tracks there on the site. And around that, after the Black Earth Perugia days, I started working with Caesar's Palace, which is like this blues funk band. We also have an EP called Mind Fields.
Okay.
And Extinct Reflections and Caesar's Palace happened together. Extinct Reflections was this prog death metal band.
Okay.
It has Kishan Balaji on drums. So Kishan played drums for both bands. I played keys for both bands. Kenneth, who now I think is a sessions musician for a lot of famous artists in Bombay, he played bass. And the other guys changed. The guitar and the vocal. We were like the core, you could say. So we actually had one show in Bombay in one of the Independence Rock concerts.
Yeah.
So Extinct Reflections played and the crowd was like really entertained and headbanging and whatnot. They just didn't like Caesar's Palace.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was our best show. But I don't think the crowd back then liked non-metal. But that was my upbringing. So I recorded a lot with Extinct. I recorded a lot with Caesars, gigged a lot. Sandesh has to be mentioned from Extinct Reflections because he inspired me a lot his guitar playing is just beautiful. He has another act called Sonic Chameleon. You should check it out. It's really good. So that was the scene. And then I formed a band called Allegro Fudge. I actually played with Thermal for a while, Thermal and a Quarter for about 3 years. I didn't record with them yet, but I gigged a lot. So
Okay.
the Allegro Fudge was my sort of main band from 2010 to about 2015. So we wrote about 20-25 songs. We have an album, Maximum City, a few singles out there on whatever, the internet. And after Allegro, a singer left to US for his higher studies in music. And then what happened? Then it was just a lot of sessions work. And then I started playing with Lagori, with Bhumi. Bhumi I was always playing with. So I joined Bhumi late because Tony started playing guitars only, and they didn't get a second guitarist. For some reason, they got me to play keyboard.
Okay.
Yeah, so I joined Bhumi. Again, I could sing, so I may have helped them. Yeah, and it was fun playing with Bhumi. Great friends more than musician colleagues, so to speak. Yeah, so Bhumi happened, and so many projects actually along the way. Then I got into my production game. So I started producing on the side. I did a lot of work with Parvaz, lot of work with Lagori. I would just be like a ghost musician in the background playing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then engineering started. I started mixing. So those projects happened. And now I play full time with Lagori.
Okay.
I have my own band called Jason Zac Band. We have 3 albums. You can check it out on Spotify. The 4th one we are working on now. We as in initially me, the ideas are ready, but I have to start sending it to musicians because I can't do it alone. I need a lot of drummers to come on board. So that'll be my 4th album with my own solo project. And yeah, loving my time with Lagori, my own band. We're very busy musicians, so we don't gig much. My band is basically with Prashant. I think he's been on your show.
Oh, Janamuthu. Oh, yes.
Yeah, Yadu plays drums and Arjun plays flute.
Okay.
So we have an instrumental band. That's our lineup, and everyone is busy. So we have to jam soon.
Yeah, and looking forward to it. I mean, the number of bands that you mentioned that you've been a part of, I think it's almost like 12, 13 bands or even more than that, I guess.
Yeah, but the little things is some things we tend to forget at times. Like there's a musician called Joey Sharma,
Okay.
who plays with this act called Django Twins with Siddharth Gautam. Siddharth Gautam is a phenomenal guitarist. So is Joey. Joey and me never gigged for 8 years, but we jammed more than every band I've ever jammed with.
Okay.
So we just jammed to jam. We never played covers. So we just play for no reason.
Okay.
Like no goal.
Okay.
So those are the things, I would always like to mention. You just do it without even playing the gig. So a lot of artists back then, I think, would have benefited from those experiences. It wouldn't be out there on Spotify or YouTube, but those are memorable experiences which shape us as artists. So things like that. I've even jammed a lot with Kishan Balaji, like endless jams. It was all like the whole night. With Naveen also, we don't write, but we'll just be practicing. I used to go to his house, and so a few musicians like that are notable. Naveen, Kishan, and a lot of it would be Joey.
Okay.
Is we would just play. No one knew what we were playing. Yeah, but it somehow got us to a point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like crazy story. Coming back to, the school.
Yeah.
When did the school start, and what made you start the school, and how how did you set the curriculum? And I'm sure that it would have changed as the years passed, right? So
Yeah, yes and no. So it was very simple for me to start this school. Very confident because my mom was already a very experienced teacher, one of the most sought after piano and vocal coaches at the time in 2008. For me, I didn't even want to teach because you have a mother who's already doing that. You have a father who's a principal of a big school. So why teach? Just go and do music. You're an engineering kid. But I think it was a little moment where I started teaching a bit of audio, basics of audio. I used to set up home studios, and then I used to teach them, how to use all of that. Then I started going to universities, to colleges, and being a guest faculty. So I got that confidence and said, hey, I don't know sound so well, but I'm able to teach it. So I do know music. Why can't I teach music? But then I didn't know the reading and the course based aspect, the Trinity, the ABRSM, and all these other British board syllabi. So I thought, let's just do something different. And I would always remember after a show, especially in Chennai. In Chennai, what happens is when you play a show, you get your fans who'll come on stage, but they are all musicians. At least the guys who would meet me and the guitar players and all that. So they would ask us doubts like, how do you practice? What tips can you give us? And this was literally after a college fest. Like we are sweating, we are about to eat food. So after the show became like this educational activity. So I thought, let me teach people how to play in bands. Bypass the whole thing, and we are an Indian audience, so we listen to folk music from here, we listen to classical music from here. Why should it always be Western classical to allow you to play prog rock or blues or jazz? So our school started in a jam room, sort of like the place we are here, maybe a bit bigger, and every band used to rehearse there. I may have told you earlier, went off so much with my bands. All of those bands had a jam room, and it was my jam room. So I used to manage a jam room, like unofficially, and annoy my parents. And I don't know how they put up with metal bands in that room. Anyway, so all of these artists used to come in, and we figured, see, we have a jam room, let's start a school. And the school had just one goal: let's just teach you good concepts of music like chord theory, scale theory, how to count, how to divide the beat, how to listen to music and transcribe music, which I think is very important. Basically, the act of listening to the song and writing it down, not playing. You have to listen to it and write it down. So your writing explains what you heard. And then you can recreate it on whatever instrument. So we figure that was a area which was lacking. And not only lacking, not even there in your British board syllabus. Because British board syllabus is all about, you have a song, a piece of music, you have to stare at it and read it. So there's no ear training, there's no timing, and there's no theory. So we thought we'll bring that in, bring those core principles, and at the end of their course, which used to be 6 months back in the day, it's still 6 months. Our syllabus actually has never changed. It's been the same. After 6 months, we used to get these kids on stage, and by kids I mean corporate working professionals, retired grandparents, professional seasoned musicians coming down all the way from, let's say, Aizawl, Mizoram, just to stay and learn from us, and really young 6-year-olds. So all of them play in venues. I don't know if you know of this venue, Kaira. That used to be our first venue. Then we did B flat, we did Humming Tree, we did Fandom. So we just wanted the big venues. We were like, I play in those venues. I want the students to play there as well. So let's not book this private setting where you do one like intimate. We don't want all that. You have to learn. So the idea is even the teachers will be accountable. So you have to teach them well, because they are going to do a public gig. There's going to be press. They are going to invite their friends and family. You could have walk-ins. You should not fail. You're like any other band. So that was our sort of mission statement.
The real experience of the live gig.
Yeah. So we would, and till COVID we did that. And it's just that now we are at the point where we have students from so many parts of the globe that we have not had the bandwidth to focus back on Bengaluru, which we started with, So that'll come back. So I think by 2025 end or early 2026, you're going to see Nathaniel School of Music how it was pre-COVID.
Okay.
So you can book a ticket in Fandom for, well, you pay for the ticket, it's $400 or whatever, and you watch students perform, and there are 40 of them, and it's compulsory. You don't do a gig, you don't get a certificate. And you lose marks. You're going to be judged on the gig. There are judges who watch the gig. Of course, assignments is important, attendance is important, but the gig is also important. Gig is crucially important. That's your exam. So that's how our course is called Music Method.
Music Method.
So that's been our thing from 2008-9 when we started. Yeah.
So your teaching is both offline and online?
Now it is, both offline and online. We have 2 centers. One is in Langford Road, Shantinagar, which also doubles up as a studio when students want to record and jam. We also have a center in Sahakar Nagar in North Bangalore, which again doubles up as a studio cum jam room kind of. So that's been our logic. Wherever you have a school, first, is there a jam room? Then can I record a bit? Okay, then we'll do a school. So it's jam room, good quality sound, then we'll teach. So that's been our goal.
What is the you started in 2008, the school, right? So what was the mindset of the kids back then, and if you would have to compare the kids now, 2025?
I think very different. Back then we used to only teach musicians. We used to teach guys who could play pretty well. There were guys actually booking tickets to come here, booking a PG to live in Bangalore from whichever city. Ahmedabad, lot of Northeast students, lot of Lucknow students, lot of Kanpur students, Calcutta students. They would come here and just live here, like be part of the school, observe us recording. Now I think people just want, it's like a fast food kind of system where they want quick results. We are trying to stick to our principles as much as we can and hold back a bit, but we try to gamify it a bit. So in a sense, you're not going to get that student retained or excited if he doesn't play his popular song. So you try to look at different levels for that song. So if it's knocking on heaven's door, you can play it as a beginner. You can play it like super advanced also.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
So that has been the change I found. But COVID has just gotten everyone to, I guess, love learning music more. Even the musicians have kind of taken a small step back and said, hey, we are gigging so much. Let's also now get back to a nice learning habit, learning routine. Wake up in the morning, put in an hour, do our exercises. So I think for for a lot of bad, COVID was there, but it had some good, in the sense it got musicians to focus on their craft a bit more, because gigs stopped.
Yeah.
Completely
A
stopped.
lot. In
Yeah.
fact, yeah.
So the focus was there. So our students, I wouldn't be able to clearly tell you now, because it's been 4 years with a global outlook to music education. So we have students from Spain, from Scotland, from Australia, from Dubai. You have NRI Indians who want to learn Bollywood songs, like real serious learners. So we like teaching musicians still. We love teaching children, and we love teaching hobbyists, working professionals, but you should be a serious hobbyist.
Correct.
Otherwise, you won't survive our course. It's not a feel-good course. It's
Yeah.
not a hobby. Like, you will feel good with the result, when you kick it into the goal, kind of a thing. So it's that kind of thing. So you have to work hard to learn any skill, and music is no different. It's not a genetic thing. You work hard, you can play a sport. So you work hard, you can play music.
Okay.
Same deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you when you teach, there are definitely a bunch of songs, many songs that you guys have. Do you guys also have indie songs that's out there?
Of course, yeah. So what I do, I have this concept called Music Factory. So I do it on Sunday. It's like a prime time, early morning. So I try to align it with all time zones, even though it won't work with the whole world. I try. So in that class, it's a transcription class. So we will pick songs which we all vote for, and I make sure that we do at least one Indian artist in a month who's non-Bollywood.
Wow.
So whatever that means. So that could be someone. It could be a aspiring singer-songwriter. It could be the students themselves. Maybe they've composed something.
Okay.
And what we do is we make a class out of that song. Not to play it, but to study it. Like very recently, we did an entire, I don't know if you heard of Bipul Chetri,
Okay.
the Nepali who I think his base is in Kalimpong.
Okay.
So we did 2 classes just on his songs.
Wow.
We did his whole album. And a new upcoming artist who I really enjoy, Anushka Maske. Incredible singer-songwriter. Her chords are mind-blowing. I think the best in India right now.
Oh, wow.
Her and maybe Dot. I don't know if you've heard of this artist. So these 2 guys know chords. And so we do some Indian composed songs, not for movies. So that's my definition of this choice of class, so to speak. But I have my own playlist which I just share privately with students. So I say, okay guys, you vote for the song you like. And sometimes we block out an entire month just to do. So that's what's cool about our school. But it's a bit seasonal. So now we have the Grammys. So I tell kids, let's forget that pop category. Let's forget the cheesy stuff. Metallica is winning all the time. Enough of Metallica. So what's new? So hunt for something new which has been nominated for Grammys. So that's how students also help me. That's literally their homework. You have to hunt for music. You have to really do a deep dive. So we love independent artists, and we love studying their work. In fact, I would love to even bring some of those artists on my class and let them only teach. What better? So that is my dream for that classroom, so to speak. So I have these visions which, I'm hoping I get the original artist. That'll be a a dream for me
Yeah.
as a teacher.
Yeah, I think this is something that I've discussed a lot with other musicians as well. That is, pre-pandemic, there were so many shows, a lot of bands playing original music, and
Yeah.
the gigging, gigs were really happening, and people would really, make sure that they're there. But now it
Yeah.
is, I feel bad that there are gigs, but not so much. A lot of things are covers
Yeah.
and tributes that's been happening. Not that it's bad, but I feel that there has to, we all have to, put the efforts together
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
the scene back. And that is why I keep asking people who are teaching music and stuff like that, everybody's told me, yes, we do teach them the indie music that's out there. We somebody would
Yeah.
like to learn the drum parts, somebody would like to learn the guitar parts, maybe vocals.
Yeah.
And it's good to know that that's also happening.
No, it's also a point in our history where technology is at its peak. So I don't know if you've heard of this app called Moises, and you have Songmaster Pro. So basically, you can buy the song and import it into the app, remove the vocals,
Yeah.
and only hear the bass and learn it. So what that's helping people to do is you don't have to necessarily learn the song just to play it live at a show. You're learning that song in order to help you grow as a composer. So you're doing, let's say you hear a song with a superb bass line. Let's say you're a fan of Blackstrat Blues, or so, one of those bands which have great bass lines, but the guitar is equally awesome, if not more awesome, with Warren playing the guitar.
Yes.
So with Moises, you can kind of choose only the bass and just only practice that. So for an aspiring bassist, wow, that is a golden tool, which we did not have back in the day.
Yeah.
So the AI is doing great for music, actually, I think. But you need to know how to use it. So we try to teach the students, see, no cheating, like put off the chords. Like it can even detect the chords for you. So we try to say, yeah, turn off the chords and use your ear as much as possible. So that way, I think musicians now, kids now, even the 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds I teach, they are more excited to compose. And they are more excited to hear music from their own land, from their own country, because that's what motivates us more. As college artists growing up, when we go for a fest, you have all these 10 bands competing, but you're like jealous, obsessed, interested, adoring all of them for some reason or the other. So that was our education. Any college fest or any event, any festival, you get to meet all these artists, and that's your education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you someone who watches movies? When I say movies, it can be
Yeah.
anything, not Bollywood or something like that.
I do watch movies, but not a lot.
Okay.
Maybe I watch a few TV shows from time to time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The reason I asked you about movies is there any specific composer or a musician that you look forward to in terms when
Danny
you
Elfman.
Okay.
Period. No one else comes close.
Okay.
Yeah. Danny Elfman. He's done everything. Edward Scissorhands. Any Johnny Depp movie with Tim Burton, the director, and Helena Bonham Carter, the actress, it's him. Probably the least number of Grammys for the most composed hit movies ever released. Batman, I think, is him. Yeah. Has he even won a Grammy? I don't know. Let us know. Yeah, he's a serious composer. So among my influences, he'll be in my top 5.
What is it that separates him from the rest of the musicians?
You'll have a scene in Corpse Bride, which is a stop motion animation movie where the upper world with humans is really, really dark and scary and meaningless and all of that, and pensive and gloomy, all doom and gloom. Then goes to the underground with all these scary monsters and ghosts. You would expect that to be scary, but that's where people are having a party. So how he's able to do that is beyond me. Like visually, it's not supposed to be that way, but musically, he's just inverted it. He's flipped the emotion. No one can do that.
Okay.
It's just him. Yeah, but Hans Zimmer is incredible as well for his soundscape work.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
yeah, I used to like A.R. Rahman stuff, but I've been more enjoying Ilaiyaraaja's scores. I don't know which specific movies, but students bring it in and out, and we like to do a lot of theme songs which he's composed. And I like the Ilaiyaraaja way of working because I think he just sits in the theater, watches the movie,
Yeah.
and his orchestra is there. He goes and writes some chits down for his musicians. It's not notation, it's some cryptic language, some coding language with which only they understand.
Wow. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, and the movie is done. It's all recorded there. Those engineers are probably the best on
Yeah,
earth.
absolutely. Like then and there, you have to be so aware, so prepared for everything.
Yeah. So Ilaiyaraaja is fascinating. And of course, Danny Elfman is my favorite when it comes to movies, themes, songs in movies, scores in movies. It has to be Danny Elfman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any song that it can be any number of songs, but one song that really made your heart melt in terms of the way it was composed and the way it was arranged.
But by any artist.
Any artist.
I would say there's this banjo player called Bela Fleck
Yeah.
who used to play with Zakir Hussain.
Okay.
They had this incredible band. They've done a Tiny Desk, and I think no, they didn't do a Tiny Desk. That was with John McLaughlin.
Okay.
Which was also cool. Yeah, Bela Fleck has this band called Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, and there's a song there called Big Country.
Okay.
Which he just sang it on his cell phone and voice mailed it to his house, and that is the song. Like,
Okay.
so if I go out for a run, or if I'm doing anything like important, or if I'm under some kind of stress or time limit or time crunch, I listen to that song.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just fascinating. Now that there are so many other songs, but the one which comes to mind is this.
Okay.
I used to be a huge fan of Mark Knopfler. So me and my cousin, who not a musician but avid music listener, he would say that there's one version of Sultans of Swing from that concert. We should only listen to that. Forget
Okay.
the album, only that live we should hear.
Okay.
Then Romeo and Juliet, we should listen from here. Tunnel of Love, you should listen from there.
Okay.
So Dire Straits, we became like really, really proper listeners. And Dream Theater, the advantage was they used to release these DVDs which had multi-angles.
Okay.
So Dream Theater kind of figured out that musicians are inspired by them. So they made DVDs, live concerts, where you could watch, in my case, just Jordan Rudess.
Okay.
So, like those songs, like Solitary Shell by Dream Theater, incredible song. Yeah. Like anything with Jordan Rudess playing keys, I love. Yeah. Because I'm a fan of him. Yeah.
Since you spoke about Mark Knopfler, I like one of his songs called The Shangri-La. I think it's
New
the
one.
Recent one.
Solo project.
Yeah. The reason I like it, I think, first of all, of course, his voice is so gentle, right? And the production is very simple, but the production is of the quality, it's like less processing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very natural sounding.
Yeah.
And of course, his guitar tones is one of the best, sounding tones.
The way he plays it is also.
And for me, this is me as a, pure listener. For me, the sound of the snare, that is something that was really, like, how do you make that snare sound so beautiful? Because snare is loud, even a small hit on the snare, but that is so gentle.
Yeah.
And I love that song. So, if I want to really, just sit down and relax, that is one song I definitely, listen to.
Yeah. No, sometimes you just listen to a song because of its sonic beauty. Just the sound quality, the way it's been produced, mixed. You could hear a Beatles song and it still sounds extremely good. Like how you cannot recreate that mix.
Absolutely.
And they did it without digital, without
Yes,
automation,
yes.
and like the tools we
And
have
without
today.
edit options. I mean, edit
Without
was there,
editing.
but edit would cost them so
You
much.
lose that whole. Yeah.
So crazy.
Incredible, yeah.
Yes.
So I think deep down, these bands, whoever we love, are extremely tight musicians, and the engineers they've ended up marrying are extremely passionate and skilled, and they also are learning with the band, so to
Yes,
speak.
yes.
Like a lot of the delay effects, a lot of the echo effects, a lot of the compression settings, you can learn that only when the band is good, when the band is tight.
Absolutely.
So
And I think some producers really really shape the band.
Yeah.
Like for me the biggest example is Metallica post Bob Rock.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The moment Bob Rock came in and the sound changed so much.
Yeah, the maybe the doubling of the guitars for a
Yeah,
start.
it
You'd hear.
definitely.
Yeah, and to double is not easy. You have to be on time, I guess. Yeah, the drums of Metallica, fascinating.
Really,
Even what's this other band? Uh, Audio Slave.
Audio Slave.
Yeah. Yeah. Linkin Park, the production overall.
Yeah, great production.
In even, I mean, strangely enough, you listen to a Britney Spears song like Toxic. After all these years, being college kids, you're like, we won't play a Britney Spears song live for some strange reason which got created in us. But what a song, what production, what a bass line. That's probably the song of the 2000s, that decade, if you ask me. What a song.
Great production. And it's nice that we got to learn so much from the West in terms of production quality.
Yeah.
Trying to understand the use of the samples, how to make the sample sound better. Yeah, because I think recently I was discussing with someone that in the 90s here in India, the samples were not that great. The synthesis that was done here or the keyboards that produced, the sound was okay.
No, it's also shipping, right? You couldn't ship the expensive instruments to our country because of customs. Like even to get a calculator from the 70s would have been near impossible. Calculators were so big back then. So how would you get like a Moog synthesizer or something? Yeah, but I get it. You're right. We are very thankful to the West. But I think now the West should be thankful to the East because they are discovering what these nations can do. Places like India, Pakistan, Turkey, Korea, Japan, all these places. Everyone's music culture is like completely different. Like I was telling we had a gospel class in our school, and you realize that you'd associate gospel music maybe with West, with America. Some of the best gospel artists I found are from Korea. From South Korea, obviously. Yeah. So the world is just moving forward.
Yes.
I have a few students in Berkeley and they're all studying Konakol, which is a South Indian rhythm culture. They're all learning Konakol. Do, re, mi, fa is slowly becoming sa, re, ga, ma. Because they are moving the do. Do is no longer C. So slowly but surely, things are changing.
And it's, I think, because of the way the internet is working, and it's favoring a lot of musicians to discover very different kinds of music, different genres that's out there. And it's good that it's going that way.
Yeah, the internet just puts everyone on an even playing field, but you just don't want to be sucked into the algorithm.
Yeah.
Because all these apps have an algorithm. Spotify, YouTube. So if you start with one artist, you kind of get sucked into that artist.
Yeah.
You can't diversify very easy. That's where the radio is still, I think, should come back.
Yeah.
So they should do something with radio.
Definitely.
Where you have a human being managing that station all the time.
Yes, correct. Somebody who understands music much more better rather than, curating just because what people want to listen to and get into a place and try and listen to this. You like it or not, that's fine. But an experience.
Correct. Yeah.
Crazy. So, Jason, what's next? What's happening, in the future? What are the plans?
Right now we're also like you, I guess. In a way, we're trying to grow our YouTube channel. So that's become my focus. I want to play trumpet and horns a lot more. So I'm putting in a lot more hours on those instruments, even though I still am nowhere close to what I want to be. I'm learning a couple of new instruments like the banjo. These days I'm playing banjo a bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, guitar is not my thing. I just don't like guitar. I don't know why. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Naveen.
Sorry, everyone. Yeah. Bass is the thing. If you play a guitar, you should play bass. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just kidding. Yeah. So those things from personally, but I think the school, we are looking to, branch out a bit more. Because a few people want to take up our syllabus, our course structure. And personally, my music, I have about 20 songs composed, but the scratches need to be refined. So I rely on a lot of musicians, so I'm just looking at managing that. And I'm sure with 20, I can get my fourth album by mid-year. Mid-year is what I'm hoping.
Okay.
If I can at least mix it by mid-year. You take another month for mastering and release. Yeah, so that's one goal. Lot of work with Lagori. We're doing some recordings. We're composing a bit. Gigging here and there. I think gigs have dried up a bit for most people, unless you play commercial stuff.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, I hope that the gigging comes back with original
people
songs.
should compose more. Should just believe in your own work and invest in it and rely on other sources of revenue, because the commercial stuff will pay you, but then you lose your skill set, and at least if it's in your formative years, like in your 20s and or teens, you need to be glued. You need to respect your art. You have to really practice and think of money later, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Jason, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Pleasure.
And it was so nice talking to you. I hope we, get you here again and talk more on the music that you're doing. Hopefully, which you're planning to release soon. Let's talk about that.
I'll share it with you the moment it's out. You'll get the links.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here. Thank you.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
And that was the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, and press the bell icon. We will see you in the next episode. Bye.